everyone, and welcome to the Hidden Cove radio show. I am your host, Denita Austin. My special guest today is IAMRUBY Fremon, and I'm so glad to be able to have this discussion today because our topic is self-love, and that is so important, and I'm excited to get started. So welcome, Ruby. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm very intrigued by your story, and I'd love for you to share that, if you could.
Sure. So I'm just going to get really ultra real on this because authenticity and transparency has played a huge role in my journey. So basically, for as long as I can remember, I have lived with depression, and I say lived with because I choose not to suffer from it. It's something I've lived with. Although in my young years, I didn't quite understand what was wrong. I just knew something was different. I knew that other people around me weren't hating their lives or participating in self-destructive behaviors. I was different, but I could never put a name to it. And this behavior started to spiral out of control as I got older. And in my 20s to my early 30s, I started experimenting with more self-destructive behaviors, with attempts to numb the pain, with prescriptions to hard drugs and alcohol. Throughout this mess that I was creating, I was in a series of unhappy relationships, and these relationships ranged from emotionally abusive to really just hard. They were hard, to put it in other words. They were filled with lies and manipulation. It felt as though every single relationship I got into progressively got worse and worse. And I could not understand why. And I would always ask myself, why am I attracting these people? Why am I dating these people? Why am I staying with these people? And I hit my first rock bottom moment in my early 20s, and that was an attempted suicide. And I realized that I lived. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I lived. Now what am I going to do? So I decided I was going to start creating something better for myself. But in my early 20s, I was still experimenting with different things, and I was so young, and the journey didn't quite stick, and I just kept retracting into old behaviors. And then I found myself in my late 20s in the most emotionally abusive and manipulative relationship, and I ended it after 4 years. And that was when I finally said to myself, okay, there's something wrong. I'm not just going for these people. I'm like hoping that they come into my life. Like I'm attracting these people into my life. Why am I doing that? And why am I staying in these relationships when they're destructive? And that's when I realized, well, I don't love myself. And that lack of self-love translates into low self-worth. And when you don't feel as though you're worthy of something good, you're going to settle for something far less than what you truly deserve. So it was at that point, and that was in 2012, that I decided to embark on a journey to self-love. And it's been exciting and horrible and fun and crazy and really, really difficult. But I've been extremely dedicated and extremely committed to this journey. And I'm still on it. I believe that the journey to self-love is something that's going to continue for the rest of my life. And it's only been 2 years, but I have completely flipped my life around. I now live a life of positivity. I surround myself with happy people. I have a very loving relationship with everyone in my life. And I'm just excited to continue going forward and see what else opens up for me.
You know what? I'm really glad that you actually said that, because I think that a lot of people are not open to sharing their story. And I feel like the fact that you were willing to say, well, this is what I went through, and, you know, I don't really care about being judged. This is just what I went through, and I want to be able to let someone else know that may be going through the same thing, that I understand. And I made it through, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And, yeah, I really appreciate that, because when I read your story, and I mean, I was completely just, I mean, it really spoke to my heart. And I understand. I do. I think that some people really don't understand what self-love is really about. And I always say that you really can't love someone else unless you love yourself. And that's on any level.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure that it was a journey for you, just like anything else. But the fact that you can stand tall today to say, this is who I am and I'm very proud of it, you know, I mean, that says a lot, you know, and you're proud of who you are now.
I definitely am. And a lot of that was about accepting my past. So no more hiding, no more feeling ashamed for the things that I've done, but owning it and owning my story, because in owning my story, I'm able to say, hey, this happened. So now I can learn the lessons that they have gifted me with, because every experience, no matter how awful, has a lesson in it. So in owning my stories and learning to say, yeah, this happened and I'm okay with it, that provokes me to find the lessons that they held, learn them, and apply them to my life. And that's how I was able to move forward.
And, you know, it's funny you say that, because I was going to ask you, what was it? Like, was it something that triggered you where you just kind of like woke up one day and said, you know what, enough is enough. You know, I want more for myself. I definitely want to take the time to make sure that I'm happy, and I want to learn to love myself better. And I think that also another problem is a lot of people kind of look for the answers outside themselves, because they're looking for someone else to kind of show them or guide them or give them the answer. And that was actually my journey as well, looking for that answer at a young age. Like, who teaches you how to love yourself better? Like, who has the answer? And sometimes you have to be strong to kind of dig within yourself to find that answer and do it for you and not look outside yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I'm glad you got me. And I think a lot of people experience it in similar ways, where you'll find yourself looking outwards for the answers. You'll find yourself reaching for self-help books, listening to self-help talks, and all of that is great, and all of that provides you with information, but it's up to you to use that information. So it's up to you to create the change. It's up to you to apply what you've learned to your life. No one can physically change your life for you. You have to change.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And also, I did also recognize the fact that in your story it was a matter of, you know, you recognized the fact that you were not around supportive people. You were not around people that had your best interests and that, you know, was going to look out for you. Okay, and I was going to tell you exactly what you needed to hear, you know. And for you to say, you know what, I need a new circle. I need a new tribe. I need people that I know that's going to love me and support me and understand what my journey is about, and they're not going to, like, leave me by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. That's wow. And, you know, it's funny because I love hearing stories and sharing stories, because I feel like it empowers us. And if more of us as women will share more stories, I feel like we would help each other out just to grow and be our best selves going forward. It's all a journey.
It is all a journey, and the more we all talk about our individual journeys and share our stories, the more we can all learn from each other, because when it comes down to it, a lot of us experience the same things in different ways, sure, but we experience a lot of the same things. We learn a lot of the same life lessons. I mean, think that if in my early 20s I knew other people were going through what I was going through, things could have been different. But hey, you know, I turned out okay, and now I'm here to send the message that I want to encourage people to talk about their stories, because we all have things in common and we all have something to offer.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I think that people forget that as well, and that's very, very interesting that you said that. Let me ask you this question. What would you actually tell someone that's on their journey that really needs to hear that, or if they're looking for an answer and they really don't know where to go or who to talk to, like, what would you say to that person?
what I would say is that no one but you can change your life. So if you're unhappy, if you're depressed, or you hate your relationships and surroundings, you have to create a change. You can listen to as many other people as you want. You can take other people's advice. But unless you create that change, you will not change. So if you're unhappy, something I really like to ask people to do is, if you're truly unhappy, I want you to look in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say, I love you. See what that brings up. Feel what it brings up. And if it's uncomfortable in any way or difficult to say, you need to shift your focus onto discovering that love within you. The journey to self-love requires commitment and dedication, and it definitely will be difficult, but I promise you it will be worth it. So in order to create a life that you are actually meant to live, one that's happy and filled with love, you need to transform your life, and you need to learn to love yourself, and you need to discover all that love that you already have within you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I don't know. I think some people kind of block it out. They don't want to really deal with it. It's kind of like, hey, it's easier to love someone else. I don't have to or myself at all. I can just focus on you. Have you experienced that before as well?
Yeah, and that's, when you overcompensate, that's when you disregard what you're feeling and you put other people's emotions ahead of yours. I mean, sure, it's great to, it's okay to sacrifice your emotions for someone else once in a while, but when you are constantly and consistently doing this, it is not healthy. And for me personally, I found I did this because I had a lack of love for myself. Because when you don't love yourself, you're not respecting yourself, you don't value yourself, and that's why it's easy for you to shove away your feelings and push them aside. But when you truly love yourself, it becomes easy to say, hey, I have needs too. I need to be respected. I need to feel love. And it's easier to make decisions that will be healthy for you. So for me, at least, it all came down to self-love. And I do believe that would be the case for many others, is how much you love yourself, how much you respect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Wow. That's so true. And I'm glad I'm giving certain examples, because you can totally understand where I'm coming from, and I can totally understand where you're coming from. And it's refreshing to be able to speak to someone that actually has a similar story, or that has gone through the same things. And I totally get that. I totally understand, and I really appreciate. I have to stress the fact, I appreciate you being so open and just sharing your story, because it's so important. It really is.
Thank you so much. Authenticity and transparency has played such a huge role in my journey. It's just a really great way to connect with others on a real level and not be superficial. And I found that being transparent about my story was what helped me own it and helped me get over the shame that I once felt, or the embarrassment, or the guilt, or feelings of regret. Because now I don't regret any of it. Even all of the horrible things that I have done or participated in, I don't regret anything, because it's all led me to where I am today.
Yeah. Wow. That is true. That is absolutely true. It and your experiences is what make you are who you are today. So I definitely agree with that. Definitely. Well, can I ask you where or what is your hidden cove? Do you have one?
I do have a hidden cove, and I'll have to say this is going to be a little mushy, but my hidden cove is my home with my husband and our two wonderfully weird pups. It's pretty much my happy place. It's a place of comfort, support, and love, lots of love. We've made our home a beautiful place to co-create our dreams together, and I love it. It's really not about the place itself. It's about the life we built together. And it's something that I never thought I could ever attain, a healthy relationship. But I did. And the only reason I was able to attain this amazing life with an amazing man was because I put the work into myself first. And I entered this relationship as a complete human being with a whole heart and a loving soul. So I would definitely consider my home to be my hidden cove. I just love it here, and I feel comfortable, and I just feel loved and supported, and that's something that is very new to me because I haven't felt that in the previous years of my life.
Wow. That's beautiful. And congratulations, by the way, because that is a big deal. And I don't think people think about that. To have a happy, healthy relationship with someone, that is definitely very important. And congratulations to you for that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Can you name one thing that you love about yourself?
One thing that I love about myself would definitely be my resilient nature. I have this ability to bounce back after the most horrible life experiences, and it's gotten me through the worst of the worst. I'm so grateful for this gift of strength. Resilience is something that I think many of us are capable of, yet few of us practice because it seems really difficult. But being resilient has led me to the life I live today, and I love my life today.
Wow. Yes. I love it. Yes, yes. Well, Ruby, I just want to say thank you again for having this discussion with me. And, you know, it's always about empowering the listeners and being able to connect with them because we're kind of experiencing the same things. It's just support one another with whatever you're going through. And I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yes, and you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you, listeners, for connecting with us today. Bye, Ruby.